In this episode, we meet a stranger. Chris gets moist. Riley rubs his stomach.
I should have bought a boat.
And Henrik gives his bike a complete wash. And now for the logo. Just like in our old rides, we started at the Tim Hortons in Hawkesbury, but we were joined by a mysterious stranger, Jason, from the internet. So we headed over the bridge to the Quebec side of the river, and the forecast was for a beautiful day. We stopped when the road turned to dirt to strip off some layers and air down our tires.
You always bring your beret, eh?
Chris, as usual, was feeling a little chilly.
Are you cold?
I'm still a little cold, yeah.
Maybe if I kick you in the genitals, it'll take your mind off.
Possibly.
And then we were off. Chris was out in front. And then you can see here my GoPro was already starting to fog up since I had the waterproof case on. This is a really nice trail, the old Scotch Road. You can actually get some good speed in a few sections. And then we came to our trusty old friend, our little sandpit. And this is the driest I have ever seen this sandpit in a long time, with just that one little puddle. So everybody roared around for a little bit and had a bit of fun. Henrik was nice enough to provide the first crash of the day.
Doesn't hurt when you fall, at least.
Meanwhile, Jason was getting his first taste of the awesome players, and oddly enough, the old DR didn't want to start.
Sounds familiar, Riley.
Shut up, Chris.
So we rolled the DR down the hill where it would be a little easier to work on it.
Hey, bring it right over to my bike, Henrik. We got tool. Okay.
Chris even tried to demonstrate how to start a bike, but that didn't really seem to help.
Now, why does the 800GS get beauty shots and he only gets mechanical shots?
This is part 7 in our continuing series of broken DR.
But this is
It's not broken, it's
this
just
is a new DR.
temporarily disabled.
It's a built-in safety feature. You never get too tired riding,
Exactly.
because you got to stop every half an hour and have a 2-hour rest. Well, at least we know there's lots of gas in the tank.
Sounds like a bike.
Oh! You just needed to keep it wide open, baby!
Real man.
Uh-oh. Anyways, ever since Henrik's gotten married, his wrist strength isn't what it used to be.
Yes. It's gonna work. You guys go ahead and
Alright, needs a little more wrist.
Has it got a rev limiter? Or just valve?
Find out. Where's the choke?
It's on the carb now. It's good.
No, the choke is off. Choke is off. This is embarrassing, but not unusual.
He was turning the throttle when he was trying to start it, but I don't think he was turning it wide open. Oh, he's hitting the power! I think 31 of his 33 horsepower were used on that climb.
Now, we only kid Henrik because we care.
Donut! Come on, Chris, let's see a donut on the HP2.
Oh, that's gonna end badly.
I know! Oh, badly.
And then Henrik once again showed us how to gracefully dismount from a DR.
Nice.
I handed the camera to Chris and decided to try the puddle, which was a little deeper than I thought it was going to be. But it was a good show for these people who had just driven up with their kids to watch us.
Must have breathed some of it.
Tip number 1, close your mouth.
And your visor. That was showboating. And Henrik is still working at getting that deer off the mountain. You need some help there, Henrik?
Henrik was taking his time, kind of getting the DR sorted out and moving around to the high side before he could get mounted up.
Start the bike.
How hard is that?
And then, of course, the familiar sound of a flooded DR trying to start. And then she roared back to life. We noticed Henrik's rear suspension would bounce quite a bit on these hill climbs.
Not enough weight.
Oh, same spot as last time.
There's not enough weight, and the weight that's on there is dead weight. There he goes. Oh, give her. Made it.
Then it was Henrik's turn in the puddle. Then Chris decided more speed was needed.
That's what I said, 4 inches.
There's a giant hole.
Yeah, there's a big sharp-edged hole in the middle.
It's better, man, than I expected. It looked like capsizing for a moment again.
I guess we owe it to ourselves to watch that again in slow-mo.
That's what I said, 4 inches.
There's a giant hole.
Yeah, there's a big sharp-edged hole in the middle.
It's better, man, than I expected. It looked like capsizing.
Nice.
I like the skid mark.
Fuck you.
You weren't even recording.
Wasn't recording?
And I don't have the waterproof case.
You got water in your camera.
Chris didn't have the waterproof housing on the GoPro. It still worked, but there would be no more sound today.
Would you describe yourself as moist?
Very moist.
I'm not talking about your usual moistness.
I'd say chocolatey at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it rolling? We are rolling.
Is it rolling?
Go, Jason!
Then it was Jason's turn. Now, this is a brand new 800, and he'd only had this thing for a few weeks. And he didn't have any previous off-road experience, so he was doing really well.
He's sizing it up. He's planning it. He's only been doing this for 2 weeks.
Holy shit, the guy is good, man.
Yeah, he's doing really well. Lean back, here he goes.
And then it was his turn in the puddle. I think Jason's gonna fit right in.
Good stuff, Jason.
Steam.
Okay. Now that's a stupid grin.
No crashing.
Don't do this at home.
Then Henrik was off once again on the mighty DR.
Very well imagine a little surprise in your eye.
Yeah, well,
That rear is bouncy, eh?
it is, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he does bounce a lot back,
yeah.
though.
I think the guy needs to start.
Adjusting things.
Yeah, maybe I wonder what he's got the rear shock set at. He should have it set at Leprechaun. I think he's got it at Ogre.
Jason had dried off enough to try the puddle again.
Nice.
Let's see.
Oh,
That's not bad.
Not bad.
yeah, but the mesh filters out most of the chunks. You just get
Cool
clean. You just get
freshness
clean
that comes
drinking
in.
water on the
As
inside.
as you take off down the down the path, now it's gonna leach through.
Then Chris decided to try it again. Not quite as spectacular. So we decided to get rolling again and get on some of the trails that were accessed from behind the good old sandpit. And here we see me doing a little river crossing. Of course, there is a bridge right beside this crossing. Then it was Henrik on the mighty DR. Hits one of the hidden rocks, but keeps on going. You can see my GoPro is fogging up again. And here is Jason on the 800, doing really well. Then it was Chris on the HP2, splashing through. He has no sound on his camera, so we're using the sound from mine here. And then here we are on the bridge overlooking that crossing, and then we headed off down the trail. Now this is a really nice trail. I'm not sure if it's an abandoned rail line or what it is. And then we get to our first little obstacle here. There's kind of some washed out culverts there on the left. And Chris makes it through without any problem. And then there's more of this nice trail. You can get some pretty good speed on this thing. There's not too many access points to worry about. And then we come to the big water crossing. So I decided to go first. Now on the right hand side you can see in the fog here those lily pads. That is very deep. You do not want to go off the path to the right there. That's probably 7-8 feet deep. Now you know the water's deep when you hear the motor sound being dampened by the water. The bottom of this is kind of these pebbles, so if you try to give too much power, the rear tire just spins and you actually start going slower. So you got to kind of manage not too much power, not too little, so that you fall over. Then it was Chris's turn on the HP2. Now he's got to be careful because the air intake is quite low, and he took a slightly different line and that water was deep. Listen for the horrible sputtering. Oh no! That bike is flooded out. So I put the camera down and started walking over to Chris's bike. Now at this point we don't know if he's bent something or if it's minor. Now, the first thing we do, of course, is pull out the douche rope. And then with 3 of us pulling, it still seemed like mighty hard work. And this is, this is quite a good little distance here to cover. Eventually we decided to take a break. And I'll throw up some subtitles here because the audio is a little hard to hear.
It may be fine. It probably is.
No, don't hit the starter.
What?
Let's just see if we can pull the plug here.
Well, we'll pull the filter out first, so just take a look. If it's wet, it's not wet, it's fine.
The reason I got into motorcycling is because I'm fat, I'm lazy.
And then we made a horrible discovery.
Oh, it's not in gear. I mean, it's not neutral. You're not telling me we pulled this thing while it was in gear? Yeah, looks like it. Oh, that's in gear.
And then magically it was very easy to pull the old HP2. Now for the troubleshooting.
Fuck off.
So Jason, how's your first ride with a bunch of retards going?
Memorable.
That's good. Good.
Especially if we have to pull that thing out all the way back.
With the douche rope? What's the problem here, Chris?
I think the problem is that we're more used to working on Henrik's bike.
Who needs an airbox? No, don't bust it. Don't bust it. Take a breather. I'd love to keep filming this, but I gotta go watch Henrik.
Have your tow rope?
I don't know if he's gonna make it. Give her!
Kick the horn.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah. Oh, I see disaster.
Oh! Holy fuck.
I just told you that was gonna happen.
Do you want to get the rope?
Yeah. I might need the rope first.
I think we better watch Henrik's little spill in super slow-mo.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
No! Holy
and the little DR just slipped below the waves.
You want to get the rope?
So we left Chris with the HP2 and we headed off to bring Henrik back. Once again, the old douche rope comes in handy, and this time the bike's in neutral.
This is gonna make turning around and going back so painful.
It is, isn't it?
Next section is
How you feeling?
The deep section.
Not so good.
Let's have a comment, Henrik, for the camera. Oh, come on, you can do better than that. You got it one? Comment for the camera?
Kelly's right. We should have bought a boat.
A few drops of water might have got into the airbox.
You think any water got in?
Yeah, but Suzuki's are built like tanks. It'll start up around that.
We all know how good tanks are for motocross.
Remains to be seen. Should I crank it?
No. How hard is it to pull the plug?
Have to remove the tank.
Yeah, but that was that bike we didn't give a rat's ass about. I don't know, dude. It's your bike.
You would say.
Didn't you already crank it out there?
Yeah, he did.
And it was okay? You didn't go.
But it didn't start.
No,
Did it turn over?
it did.
Well, there's no water in it then.
Or it hasn't seized. It doesn't lock anyway.
Not locked.
And that, folks, is why we call it the Mighty DR.
Henrik! Give me the thumbs up! Woo! 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 Here we see Jason doing the walk of shame.
Now I wonder what Jason was thinking.
It's over his knees, man. I think he's trying to catch a tadpole in his helmet.
I think just to be on the safe side on that one.
And not surprisingly, Jason decided to approach this a little more cautiously, and he also followed the line I had taken, which wasn't quite as deep. Meanwhile, Chris had the HP2 started.
I'll go in and push him.
No, he's okay, just leave him. He's got to do it like a man.
You can see the front tire's not totally submerged like it was on the other line that Henrik and Chris had taken. And being 6'2" or 3" or whatever Jason is, it's a little easier for him to dab a foot down. Now he's getting a little close. You can see those lily pads on his right, and you do not want to go in there. That is real lake. And Jason, for a guy with a couple of weeks of riding under his belt off-road, sure made it look easy.
Baby!
Was he first or second?
First. Nice.
That was good.
Well, we finally got all the bikes running and we headed off down the trail. Now, we knew that we were coming up to another long section of water, and we were just hoping that it wasn't going to be deeper than usual as well.
That's pretty much normal.
So I gave Jason a quick rundown.
You just you go over it, skid plate bangs, and then somebody drags you off it.
Henrik was the first man on the culvert, and I gave him a hand. And off he went down what I guess we could call a river. And then I got up to the culvert next with Chris behind me. Now you get your front wheel over, now you're sitting on the skid plate. You're kind of on your tippy toes. And there's no way you're really getting off there without a little hand. So Jason came and gave me a push, and off I went. And then it was Chris's turn, and he decided to check his oil, and he did not like what he saw. Meanwhile, I caught up with Henrik on this little gravel bar.
Those boxers tend to burn oil.
And Chris was looking in there to see if he could see any oil, because his oil light was flashing. And we still had quite a ways to go, and one of these sections up ahead was pretty deep. So Chris decided to keep on trucking, and Here he is proceeding rather gingerly. Henrik's heading back to give Jason a hand. And Chris made it through this section with no drama.
My oil light is flashing constantly.
That's weird. Could be the sender's wet too, you know.
And then Jason dived in, and you know, I keep saying this, but this guy had literally 2 or 3 weeks of riding his 800. Before that, he had been riding a VMAX. So he gets on the gas, and no problem. Now the air intakes on the 800 are really high. You can still do some damage though, if you drop the bike in the water. There were a few spots in that section I thought might be too deep for the HP2.
Tell Chris not to come! Tell Chris not to go! Tell Chris not to go in there, it's too deep.
So we decided that discretion was the better part of valor, and we whipped out the old douche rope and towed Chris across that section so we wouldn't suck in any water. We were all getting a pretty good workout on this little Sunday ride. And then we got to the next section, and Henrik had already made it through here, so we knew it wasn't going to be that deep, so Chris jumped in right away. Now the first guy can kind of see the bottom, and then once he's stirred up all the silt, the guys who follow can't see anything. And this is the last section. And I had stalled it here, so I'm trying to get going. I'd hit some rock or log down there. And to get out of this section, there's an old rusty pipe you gotta kind of fly over. You can see there's a lot of fresh beaver construction there. Now we were all breathing a pretty big sigh of relief because, you know, normally we'd be done with water for the day. But I guess the beavers had been busy, and now there was water in sections of the trail where we'd never seen water before. Nothing crazy deep here, and here you see me following Jason. And as you can see, Jason just fit into our group. You know, you never know what someone's going to be like when you just meet them on the web. But Jason is now one of the regular members of the Awesome Players. Now before this video's over, I'd like to do a couple of shout-outs to 2 guys. I'll put their links in the description for this video, and they're also in our featured channels on our YouTube page, and we'll put up something on our website at apormc.com. There's Rex4x4, who's got some real fun clips on his YouTube channel, and we're going to be trying to go riding with him in the spring. And he's got a buddy, and both these guys are in North Bay, Vlogging Life, who's got a great channel where he puts up a video 20 minutes plus every day about his life and just the daily goings-on up in North Bay and what he's into. So hopefully we'll hook up with these guys in the spring.
Not too shabby.
And there's the cop on the way home. That's the guy that gave me that nice juicy ticket last year right near Grenville, just before you cross the bridge. And this is the entrance to the old sand pit near Hawkesbury that we used to go to. Always kind of makes me sad. You can see it's blocked off there. And so ends another Awesome Players adventure.